Travel while you're young. I don't understand why older people advise this, think it's so easy to do. So you're telling me while I'm paying rent, car, etc., to go backpacking for 3 months? It does sound fun, and like it would be amazing to have the privilege to do something like that. But just because I don't have a family to take care of doesn't mean I can drop all of my monthly expenses and rely on savings to travel. I mean, as an example, after college, I just left the country for a year without having any sort of job in the other country, didn't speak the language, and only about 3,000 in savings. Not saying that is sane, but it worked out just fine. That takes balls. Kudos to you. It was fun. Not everything has to be vetted and safe. Not in your 20s anyways. That is what people mean when they say that. You can't just drop everything in your 40s because you have a career and possibly kids, and you can't really do that. In your 20s, you haven't really even started yet. Everything is in flux. Everything is malleable. So you can just drop everything and wander off. What about car renting currently? Just sell everything except some clothes and leave with the unknown. I moved to a brand new state when I was 21 across the country. Sold everything I owned that couldn't fit in my car, had a little bit in savings to get me started, and just did it. It's probably the best decision I ever made. Once you take a risk like that for happiness and it works out, you realize you can do anything if you're not afraid of a little struggle and adventure. You could. This doesn't just apply to travel, it applies to any bucket list item. When you get older and have responsibilities like managing a company, kids, a mortgage, etc., it may be harder to step away. It's always a conundrum beast. When you're young, you usually don't have money, and when you're old, you lack the physical health to travel as you would have wanted in your youth. That depends on the person. My best friend's mom and stepdad retired early. They sold off everything and bought a sailboat and just sailed around for years. When they got a little too old GL4, that they sold the boat and bought an RV and traveled in that for a few more years. It can depend a lot on when you have kids and start your career. Like I didn't have kids until my 30s, 40s, so I will be in my 50s before they are old enough for me to just drop stuff and go again. Whereas his mom had him early 20s and was in her late 30s, early 40s when he was old enough for to go. I mean, it's your choice, right? Whatever you want to prioritize. I don't think people ever claim spending a lot of time traveling doesn't come with some sacrifices for other things you might want to do. It's just saying when you are young, you have the option. When you are older, you will likely be tied down by a lot more than you are now. Not like you own anything of substance when you are 20 anyways. That's kind of the point. Yup, this exactly. Working holiday visa agreements exist with between a lot of countries, so you can go for a year without needing to have everything saved prior. You usually need a certain amount of cash for expenses, but usually a few months and a return ticket. Not a full year's worth. I have citizenship in Europe as well as Canada, so went there straight out of high school for 4 months. Did a working holiday in Australia with trips to Fiji and New Zealand. Visited a bunch of places in Europe using my family as a base, which cut back on expenses, thankfully. All before 25, most before 21, when I got my first apartment. It's become a lot harder from there on out, and I've only traveled within Canada for the past decade. Yep, pretty much. People have been doing this for decades, and old cranks like me will tell you how much easier it is with the internet and smartphones and AL translation. I studied abroad for a year in law school and leased my car to a student that stayed in the States. My friends would periodically message me that they saw my car driving around town. It was great because I charged like $1,000 for the school year. For a Gyo Subaru, it went in their name on their insurance, car got light use and oil changes, and I didn't have to pay to store it. I'm 37 now, and if I were to drop everything and head off for an adventure into the unknown, I'd lose a lot. My job, my house, my fiance, pretty much everything I've spent the last 19 years of my life working for. Had I done it when I was 22, I would have lost damn near nothing because I was still very close to square one at that age. Looking back now, the responsibility I thought I had at that age was pretty minuscule compared to now. I didn't know it at the time because it's impossible to have a frame of reference from 15 years in the future. Really, it comes down to what you want out of life. If you don't like the idea of taking a big risk and traveling into the unknown, potentially putting yourself back a year or two, don't do it. You'll start to realize the opinions of people you don't know, and even people you do know, aren't actually that important the longer you live. None of the furniture I had in my 20s was worth anything. I could put everything I care about in my parents' basement corner pretty easily. Pay $20 per month for a storage unit if you need. Where I live, storage starts at $80 a month for non-heated, likely mouse-infested. The point is, when I was under 30, one didn't have even a room full of things I cared about. Yeah, I didn't store anything. I just gave it away and took what I could put into a backpack. You need clothes, some ID, and a bank account. That's about it. While it sounds like fun, and I just pissed anything I made away in my early 20s, I wish I had worked my ass off and saved, invested every penny. Instead, I'll work till the day I die. I mean, I didn't break even on net worth until I was 31, so my debt and savings canceled out at that point, so I didn't have any savings until after that. And now I am fine. It can be hard to tell where you're going to end up. So sell it, give it away. I never owned a car and doing fine. Plenty of money for other stuff. That's what I did. I didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. I worked as I went. There are opportunities to lodge for free if you work at a hostel for a little while, for example. I cooked extremely cheap meals, did free activities, slept in hostel rooms with 9 strangers, and was extremely broke and uncomfortable all the time. It was awesome. People used to own beater cars, not car notes, so just park it at a friend's house and come back in a year. It wasn't an expense. I did this 2 years ago. Been in France, the Netherlands, and now in Argentina. I don't know. I'm probably insane. I have nothing to my name and I'm 28. It's about what you feel drawn to. That's all you should worry about. Granted, I did eventually get a remote online job. My friend's mother bicycled through China on her own in her 60s. I realize that she is one of a few that do this type of thing. But when I retire in a few years, I'm hoping to go on a few adventures. Yeah, I guess I would amend and say it's easier to travel in the bookends of your adult life. In your 20s, when you have no obligations and can say F it and just take off, and then later when retired, if you have a good nest egg, because you can then use money to buy convenience in your travel. In your 20s, you have to forego the connivances and live off your wits, basically. Work if you need to work while you travel and hitch or stay with people you meet along the way. Sold say it's easier to travel in your 20s or when retired than it is in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and part of 60s. Absolutely. My plan is to buy a mobile home, lock up the house, and bugger off round the world for a year or two. Didn't do it when I was young, so I'm going to do it before it's too late. Yeah, I'd love to travel again in my 60s. My point with this was that I agree with the sentiment that it's easier to travel when younger, not because of money, but because of obligations. I am in my 40s now. I have a house, a wife, kids, my career. I'd struggle to take a week off, let alone a year. And if I did take a week off, it would have to be scheduled way in advance, and it would involve my wife and kids, which would limit where we could go. And we'd have to make sure we had a place to stay and with the needed amenities, so we'd have to book a hotel and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That becomes expensive. When you are 20 and have zero obligations, you can literally just walk off, hitch, crash at place of people you meet. It doesn't have to cost much money at all, certainly not any more than staying in the US. Does that come with risks? Sure it does. Your 20s are when you should take risks because when else will you be able to? To be clear, I don't consider my life to be average or normal. I was a crazy misters for doing that, lol. Absolutely agree. I certainly won't be backpacking, and I will travel in comfort. The motorhomes you can get these days are insane. Yeah, in my 60s, it's going to be hotels and drinks with little umbrellas. Very different kind of travel. I get the feeling those who balk at travel in their 20s are picturing that kind of travel. And yeah, sure, you aren't going to be doing that. But there are different ways to travel. Lots of drinks with little umbrellas. Sounds like you and your wife will have a lovely retirement. Good luck to you both. To you as well, friend. May our lives be obligation-free and our homes untethered. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe to the channel and share in the comments your best childhood travels.